Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All my dear students of class 8. I was taking up the circulatory system in my last lecture, and I had told you about the functions of blood and about the blood vessels. So let's quickly revise what all we had done in the last lecture. So I told you that there are various functions of blood. First one is transportation, that is, it carries oxygen from the lungs to all cells of the body, and it also carries carbon dioxide waste product from all body cells to the lungs. It carries absorbed digested food from the small intestine to all cells of the body. Whatever food that has been digested is carried to all the cells of the body through the blood. Then WBCs kill the germs that enter our body and protect us from diseases. Apart from this, it also carries the various hormones from the endocrine gland to the different organs of the body where they are needed. Then whatever waste that is generated in the body or whatever waste that is produced in the body from the different body cells, and it is carried through the blood to the kidneys, and from the kidneys they are removed from the body through the excretory system. The excess heat that is produced inside the body by the activities that are going on in the body to the different parts of the body, this excess heat is distributed to different parts of the body, and that helps in maintaining a constant body temperature. Then it maintains the water and salt balance in the body tissues. Then what is the function of the blood platelets that are present in the blood? That is, they help in blood clotting that prevents excessive bleeding. Is that clear? Then the blood vessels, I had told you about the various blood vessels, that is, they are long and thin tubes in which blood flows, and there are three types, that is the arteries, veins and capillaries. So what are arteries? They are the blood vessels that carry blood from the heart to the various parts of the body, and they have a thick wall, and they are more muscular because they have to carry blood they have to pump blood to the other parts of the body, and that pumping is done by the heart. Then veins are blood vessels that carry blood from the various parts of the body and back to the heart, and they don't have such elastic and muscular walls. They have thin and less elastic and muscular walls, and blood flows with low pressure, and they are superficially visible under the skin. So the largest veins in the body are the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava, and the largest artery being the aorta. Then the capillaries are extremely thin blood vessels that connect arteries to veins. Is that clear? So you can see how they are connected. You can see how these are the capillaries, a very fine network, and this is the vein, and this is the artery. Apart from this, you can see this is branching further. Here also it is branching further. These are the arteriole and venules, and finally the very fine network that is known as the capillaries. Then what is the function of these capillaries? That is, the useful substances like food and oxygen present in blood enter the body cell through these capillaries, and at the same time what is happening, whatever waste products like carbon dioxide which are formed in the body cell, they enter the blood through the capillaries, and they are later on removed from the body. So this is all that I had taken up. Then today I will be teaching you about the structure of the heart. Now, heart is a muscular organ, and what is it doing? It pumps blood to all parts of the body through the blood vessels. What type of muscles is it made up of? It is made up of the cardiac muscles. So let's see. So these are the cardiac muscle cells, and they have a speciality. The basic characteristic of these muscles are they have cells, or these type of muscles possess two basic characteristics, that is rhythmicity and they are automatic, that is, they do not stop. Is that clear? They have a particular rhythm that they beat after a fixed interval of time, that the movement is like rhyme repeats itself. Same is the position with the muscle cells also. That is why the heart beats at a particular rate, and this continues till a person dies, and this is automatic. Nothing is running it. There are no other there is not any other force that is making it do it. Is through these muscles which are known as the cardiac muscles, and these muscles contract and relax without taking rest. This is their basic characteristic. Now the size of the human heart is about 12 centimeter in length, and the breadth is around 9 centimeter. It weighs about 300 grams. These are the measurements, that is 12 centimeter in length and 9 centimeter in breadth, and it weighs about 300 grams. Where is it located? It is located between the lungs in the chest cavity. Now you can see the position. This is the rib cage. This all you can see, this is the rib cage, and in the center of the rib cage, or here, this is the position of the heart. This is in the chest cavity, and its lower lip tip is slightly tilted towards the left. So you can see the lower is tilted towards the left. That is, of course, facing to my right. Your right will be the left of the picture. And a heart is enclosed in a double membrane, which is in the form of a double membrane sac, and that is called as the pericardium. So the pericardium, you can see in the diagram, it is consisting of the 3 membranes, and this pericardium is a double layered sac and double layer of fibrous tissue that surrounds the heart, and this is labeled as the epicardium. Is that clear? This is labeled as epicardium over here. This is the epicardium. Then the myocardium and the endocardium, that is the cardiac muscle tissue, that is the myocardium, and endocardium is the smooth inner lining of the heart. So it is surrounded by a double layered membrane that is known as epicardium or the pericardium, while it has 3 layers, that is the epicardium, the myocardium, and the endocardium. The membrane which surrounds it is known as the pericardium. Now this membrane is filled between the double layers is a fluid which is known as the pericardial fluid, and what is the function of this fluid is to protect the heart from jerks and shocks. And apart from this, the position of the heart inside the rib cage protects it well from any jerks and shocks. So you can just imagine what is the structure of the heart by these diagrams. Then heart has 4 chambers, or it is having 4 compartments. So these are known as the atrium and the ventricles. Atria is the plural and atrium is singular. So the upper 2 chambers are called the atrium. They are known as the atria, that is the right atrium and the left atrium. Similarly, the lower 2 chambers are known as the right ventricle and the left ventricle. Is it clear? So the atria are small chambers. They have thin walls. They are receiving chambers just because they are receiving blood from different body parts. Is that clear? They are small and they are the receiving chambers. The walls also not thick. So you can compare it to an artery where it was thick just because it has to pump blood to the different parts of the body. And the veins are receiving, so they are thin walls. Similarly, the atrium are the receiving chambers. They have thinner walls. They are called the receiving chambers because they receive the blood from different parts of the body through the veins. The ventricles are large chambers. They have thick walls. These are large chambers, and they are doing what? Thick walls just because they are the distributing chambers. They pump blood into the big blood vessels, and these blood vessels distribute the blood to all the parts of the body. Thus the ventricles are known as the distributing chambers, while the atria are known as the receiving chambers. So left side of the heart, this is the left, that is the left atrium and the left ventricle, contains oxygenated blood, the blood which is containing oxygen. The right side of the heart contains deoxygenated blood, which is containing carbon dioxide, and the left side of the heart is separated from the right side by a partition wall which is known as the septum. Is it clear? It is separated through a septum. So, atria are separated by the interauricular septum and the ventricles are separated by the interventricular septum. So, there is a partition in between the two atrium and two ventricle, which is known as the interauricular septum, and interventricular septum is the partition which separates the two ventricle. So, this is doing what? This is helping the heart from this prevents the blood, that is on the right side we have the deoxygenated blood, on the left side we have the oxygenated blood. So, this septum is helping or preventing the mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. And what is the direction of the flow of blood? That is, you can see the arrow from the right atrium or from the atrium to the ventricle, again from the left atrium to the left ventricle, and this is not reverse. It will never be from right ventricle to right atrium or from the left ventricle to the left atrium. So, this is through the presence of the valves. There are 4 valves which are located in the heart. So, these are the tricuspid valve, the 2 semilunar valves and the bicuspid valve. So, the tricuspid valve means of having 3 cusps. You can see there are 3 cusps, 1, 2 and 3. Here also there are 3 cusps. Is that clear? So, they are and 2 semilunar valves, that is the pulmonary valve and the aortic valve. Both are semilunar valve. So, these valves ensure that blood flows in one direction, that is from the atrium to ventricle and not back from the ventricle to the atrium. So, the tricuspid valve, it is present between the right atrium and the right ventricle. You can see this is the tricuspid valve present between the right atrium and right ventricle, and it allows blood to flow from the right atrium to the right ventricle and prevents the backflow. Then bicuspid valve is present between the left atrium and the left ventricle, and it allows blood to flow from the right atrium to the right ventricle. So, this is the valve which is present. So, tricuspid valves are basically tricuspid and bicuspid valves are present. So, here this is the valve which is preventing. One is the this is made up of 2 cusps. Bi means 2. This is the mitral valve which is preventing the blood flow from the left ventricle to the from the left atrium to the left ventricle. Then the pulmonary valve or the semilunar valve lies between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. So, the valve that is present between the right ventricle and pulmonary artery is the semilunar valve, this valve. Then the aortic valve, this semilunar valve lies between the left ventricle and the aorta. So, these are the 2, this is the pulmonary valve and this is the aortic valve. Is that clear? These are the 4 valves. Now, you can see this diagram of the various valves that are present in real. These are the different types of valves in heart in reality. Now, there is a small mass of specialized muscle cell which is found in the right atrium. So, this is known as the SA node or the sinoatrial node, and it is present near the opening of the vena cava. Now, this is the vena cava, which I will tell you later on, the biggest vein, and this is a group of cell or a small mass of specialized muscle cell found in the right atrium. This is known as the sinoatrial node or pacemaker of the heart. Is that clear? And what is the function? Why is it called the pacemaker? Pace means what? The speed at particular speed at which a particular thing moves. So similarly, the speed or the pace with which the heart moves is regulated by this particular specialized muscle cells, which are known as the SA node. So the rhythmic and spontaneous contraction. Rhythmic means repeating after a fixed interval of time, and spontaneous means nothing. It is automatic. It is happening on its own. So the rhythmic and spontaneous contraction of muscle cells of the SA node stimulate what? Stimulate means make something happen. The contraction of the atria, and that is how the atria is contracting. So this particular node is responsible for the initiation and maintenance of the heartbeat. So it initiates and maintains the heartbeat. Sometimes this pacemaker gets disturbed. There's some problem. So it is artificially replaced by an artificial pacemaker, which is an electronic device placed surgically into the heart to produce and maintain heartbeat. And it is used when the natural pacemaker is defected. Exactly, it becomes defective. There is some problem with it. Then the blood vessels which are entering and leaving the heart. So first one is vena cava, which I have told earlier also. I have named it. They are the two large veins, superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. You can see this is the superior vena cava and this is the inferior vena cava. Is that clear? Now what is it doing? It brings deoxygenated blood from the upper parts, heart and shoulders, that is the superior vena cava. You can see the superior term means it is bringing the deoxygenated blood which is rich in carbon dioxide from the upper parts, that is the heart and like the heart itself and the shoulder and the face, head and all the upper parts which are located above the heart, and to the right atrium. So this is the receiving chamber which is receiving blood, deoxygenated blood from the superior vena cava. And then inferior vena cava at the same time is bringing deoxygenated blood from the lower part, that is trunk and legs, all the other parts which are located below the heart. Is that clear? Of the body, again to this particular part only, that is known as the right atrium. So both inferior and superior vena cava are bringing deoxygenated blood from the superior part, that is upper and lower part of the body. So the deoxygenated blood from all parts of the body is pumped into the right atrium of the heart through these two big veins. Is that clear? Then the pulmonary vein. You can see these veins. This is the pulmonary vein, and they carry the oxygenated blood from the left and right lungs. They open into the atrium. So I told you when I was telling you about the veins that this is the only vein which carry the oxygenated blood, and it brings the oxygenated blood from the right and left lungs, and they open into the atrium. It opens, it brings the oxygenated blood. Is that clear? And it is pumped into the left atrium. Then the pulmonary artery. Now you can see this is the pulmonary artery. Now what is it doing? It carries deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle to the lungs. So from there, that is from the right ventricle to the lungs. Now it carries deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle to the lungs. In the lungs, the blood becomes oxygenated. Here from the right ventricle, the blood is carried to these pulmonary arteries. Is that clear? And from the pulmonary arteries, the blood reaches where? To the lungs, and here the blood becomes rich in oxygen and the carbon dioxide is released out. The blood becomes oxygenated in the lungs. And what is the function of the aorta? The biggest artery of the body, that is, it carries oxygenated blood from the left ventricle to all the parts of the body. From the left ventricle, the blood is carried to the aorta and it is distributed to all the parts of the body through the various branches or smaller arteries which come out from the aorta. Then the coronary arteries. The two coronary arteries arise from the base of the aorta. Now this is not very clear. This I will show you in the next lecture, inshallah. Please revise whatever I had taken up today, so that this chapter becomes a little bit easier for you. Allah Hafiz.